Welcome back to another episode of Owning the Weight podcast. I'm your host, Jillian Tedesco, where we talk all things wellness, nutrition, and business. Right now, we're in a series where I'm interviewing one of my good friends, Ashley Kumar, doctor of physical therapy and breathwork specialist, and we're talking about how to thrive, not just survive. And today, we're going to be diving into one of those pillars, which is sleep. This is one that I'm passionate about too. I know I've done a couple podcasts on sleep, but it's always great to talk about the topic again because I'm still learning when it comes to sleep and how I can better improve my sleep hygiene. So
yeah,
let's start talking about how much we actually need.
Yeah. Sleep was my biggest thing too. I just wasn't sleeping, like I had said in the previous podcast. So I think that sleep is extremely important, and
it's not sexy.
It's not sexy
at all.
It is not sexy. Yeah,
that's why nobody wants to waste time on it because you're sleeping.
Yeah,
you don't even want to think about
wasting time.
Wasting time, right?
Yeah, you're wasting time, and our American society is like we don't want to waste time. And the less sleep you get, and the more work you accomplish, the more successful you are.
The tougher you are. The tougher you are.
Yeah,
I don't need a lot of sleep. I only need 6 hours, and I'm good.
But sleep is success. So truly, so yeah, we really need a non-negotiable 7 to 8 hours quality. That's key, quality of sleep. There is a book, Why We Sleep. And in that book, he states that people who think they only need 4 hours, it's only like 1% of the population or even less than that. So if you think you're like, oh yeah, I don't need much sleep, we really do. We really need 7 to 8 hours, guys. So it's where we restore and repair our bodies and we lay down important memories. We flush out toxic waste from our brain, which is called the lymphatic system, and then the body, which is the lymphatic system. So in that lymphatic system, you're flushing out some of those amyloids and plaques. I don't know if you ever heard about that or not, but they're connected to Alzheimer's disease. Mm-hmm. Alzheimer's patients have those.
I didn't know if you don't fully go through all the sleep cycles. There's 6 or 7, 8 sleep cycles.
Yeah, four main ones, but yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong there. But I know if you don't fully go through all the sleep cycles, you're leaving those like proteins still in your brain, and it can lead to dementia and Alzheimer's. I have heard that.
Yeah. Definitely.
You're just like cutting yourself short. So why not? Short. You're not cleaning up. You're not resetting. It's like
it's a computer reset.
Yeah.
You turn off your computer, you turn off your brain and your body for a little bit. And I really think that sleep, how you sleep. So if you ever got a sleep tracking device and you started looking at how you sleep, it tells how your body is doing. It's like a measurement of how your body is doing throughout the days, So if it's good, it tells you that your body's doing pretty good on health-wise. So I think it's very indicative of health and how you are going to age,
Awesome. Talk to me a little bit about circadian rhythm.
Yeah, so that circadian rhythm is something that we want to have. It's our biological clock, So we want it to be a daytime whenever we're active. We want to be eating throughout the day, and we want to be moving throughout the day. And then at nighttime, we want it to be a restful time. We want to really stop eating when it gets dark and go into a fasting mode. And we want to be resting. So it's really that sleep-wake cycle. And if you can kind of think of it as cortisol, like we talked about, cortisol rises whenever it should spike whenever you wake up, and then it slowly goes down. And then by the time it gets dark out, then your melatonin should start to spike. And as you're sleeping, your melatonin's high, your cortisol should be low. And then they just are inversely related. So the cortisol should spike and then the melatonin should drop. And then the melatonin should spike at nighttime and the cortisol should drop.
And this is why they tell you not to be on your electronics at night.
And this is a huge reason with that light. Because like we said, light, right? Daytime light. And that will really mess up your melatonin production. Because then you're going to think, I don't need to increase melatonin right now because it's still daytime. So your eyes is how you perceive what's going on in the reality around you. So your vision. So we really want to take that down. And so that circadian rhythm is done through sunlight, sleep, and what time we eat. So that's like one way you can really get on top of it is thinking light, sleep, and what time you eat your food. And then hormones are released during the day. And so that's also very, very important to your circadian rhythm, because if your circadian rhythm's off, your hormones will also get off. And that cortisol, and melatonin starts to change. Another interesting thing about that circadian rhythm is your body temperature. So with the melatonin, the cortisol, your body temperature should also be regulated upon those two hormones. So during the nighttime, your body temperature should drop. And then during the daytime, it should rise. So there's that other hack. Like if you kind of really want to think big picture body temp, and how food and how alcohol and how light all can really mess with your body temperature as well. So that's something that I think really was very, very interesting to me. I was like, oh, wow, I really need my body temperature to drop. And that's why if I drink a glass of wine, my heart rate went up and my body temperature went up. So, yeah.
Is that your body like trying to process the alcohol?
Yeah. So your body is not concerned on restoring and repairing. It's more back into digesting, right? So your food back to the eating and the daylight and digesting the food.
Okay. So this is why they say you shouldn't eat right before you go to bed, because the body can't rest.
Yeah. It's working on the motility and blood.
The blood is all going to the stomach.
And the intestines, yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes I'll sleep really good if I go to bed after I eat something. So why is that?
And maybe, you were starving, and if you have ever fasted for several days in a row, as you get...
I have not fasted for several days in a row.
My husband does it. He's crazy. He could not sleep the day 3 of his fast, day 4 of his fast, because he was so hungry,
I mean,
So sometimes if you're really, really hungry, then it's probably best that you eat if you just don't want to disturb sleep. So if you're that hungry that you can't sleep, you probably should eat a little bit. But why are you so hungry that you can't sleep? Was it that you didn't eat a big enough breakfast and enough food to charge you throughout the day?
Most likely.
So I used to starve myself back whenever I was like in high school and I actually had some different eating disorders. And one of them was I was a lifeguard and I wanted to look skinny in my swimsuit, So I would eat all day and then I would binge eat at night because I was starving. So, starting off with the whole reason why I had to go through all this stress stuff and later in life going through the adrenal fatigue is I was setting myself up years after years of these habits that I had no idea were affecting me.
Wow. What about like when you're waking up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep?
Yeah. So if you're waking up in the middle of the night, it usually means, not always, but it usually means that stress is the factor and that cortisol is being released at the wrong time. So your circadian rhythm is off. So you're not increasing melatonin, but your cortisol is still going off. So that's usually that high sympathetic levels with that increased heart rate, increased body temp. And so you're not able to lower that core body temp at night. And like we said, you're eating too late. You're looking at your iPhone, your blue light. We wear blue light blocking glasses if you're really going to be on a computer working at nighttime or on your phone. Alcohol, it will likely won't get a good night's sleep because you're going to increase your body temp. And these are all reasons why you might be waking up at 2 a.m. So that glucose spiking is just sending off those cortisol levels sometimes. So we really want to try not to eat dinner at 8 and go to bed at 9. But those priorities, that hormone hierarchy, I think is extremely important to think about. Because cortisol and insulin are top priorities for your body and your energy production. So we really want to be supporting our body into repair mode at night instead of and letting it have time to heal. So your brain and body during the nighttime. So it's like that computer reset. Another reason, though, you could possibly be waking up throughout the night. This isn't whenever you wake up at 2 a.m. every night. That's probably more the cortisol spike and can't go back to bed because you're anxious. But if you are just waking up throughout the night, it could also be that you're desatting and not getting enough oxygen. So you could be sleep apneic. There was the Dr. Alman. He's awesome. Or David, I think his name is Daniel Alman. He's a psychiatrist, a neuropsychiatrist. Amazing guy. He's all over social media. He's wrote several books. But he was just talking about people who have sleep apnea are like 60% more at risk to get Alzheimer's. Because they're not getting oxygen to their brain.
Wow.
It's all about oxygen and blood flow.
Interesting.
So really watch if you're snoring or you wake up with slobber on your pillow. I recommend, getting, first of all, a sleep tracking device and finding out like, oh man, I'm waking up several times throughout the night. My heart rate is spiking and my HRV, heart rate variability, is dropping. And then if that's the case and you really feel like you have sleep apnea, I really like there's an oxygen ring. So you could always try to get an oxygen ring and figure out, man, I was actually sleep apneic. So really wanting to treat sleep apnea if you have it. And there's different types of sleep apnea, but yeah, that could be another reason why you could possibly be waking up in the middle of the night. It's not just, I just want people to know, like, it's not just, cortisol and melatonin and circadian rhythms. There's a lot of other reasons we could be waking up at night.
Gotcha. What are the phases of sleep?
Yeah. So the phases of sleep, that's why there's 4 phases, deep, REM, light, and awake. And just because you sleep for 8 hours doesn't always mean that it's quality. So the quality comes from the deep sleep and the REM sleep. So the deep sleep is where your body is repairing and restoring, and you need about 25% of your time of sleep in deep sleep. And that usually happens in the first 3 hours of sleep. So to get good sleep, you want a low heart rate and a low body temp. And that's why we're going back to these things as to what would make you not have a low body temp and a low heart rate. And we talked about those things, food and dinner and alcohol and light and stress and work, So really challenging yourself to get to sleep and drop right into that deep sleep, which you should really drop right into it. And then REM is the rapid eye movement. And that's your memory consolidation, your cognitive function, your emotional rebalancing. And you really need about 20% of REM sleep. And that happens usually throughout the end of your sleep. And so for me, I was waking up at 5 a.m. and I actually my biological clock needs to sleep until 8 a.m. Trying to get on top of things when my kids were young. And I was just not REMing. So I was going to work and I literally could not even think straight. I was like, this is getting real, Ashley. Like you can't even think.
Is REM when you're having a lot of dreams?
And so REM is your dreaming time.
Yeah. I can say I always dream in that like early 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock morning.
Yeah. If you can remember your dreams, you're doing really well. My kids really remember their dreams. I always use my kids as baseline healthy, So I used to remember them really well. I'd say like, I would say I dreamed, but I don't remember the dreams as deeply as I used to. And one last thing on REM is noradrenaline, AKA that stress hormone that happens from the sympathetic response. It prevents sometimes REM from happening. So we really want to watch our stress levels because whenever we're highly stressed, we might get a little lack of that quality of sleep.
Noradrenaline?
Noradrenaline. Mm-hmm.
That comes from
cortisol. Yeah, it's noradrenaline, cortisol.
So that could be robbing you of your REM. Okay. What about light sleep?
So light sleep is not so much important for the quality, but yeah, it's a part of the sleep cycles, but it's not as important as like the deep and the REM. And then the awake, if you can like try to not awaken, that'd be great. But if
that's like rolling over or even waking up and then going back to sleep.
Yeah, waking up. And on the Oura ring that I use, it's white, I believe. So we just want to watch like a lot of spiking of that color, or whatever device you use.
Huh.
So,
wow, interesting.
When you're really tired and you haven't slept for a while, you get a really good workout and your body's super exhausted. Less awake time happens is what I've noticed with the tracking. I've been tracking my sleep for about 6 years on the Oura ring.
Yeah. Is that your favorite tracking device?
It is my favorite tracking device, mostly because it's focused. The main reason they made Oura ring was to focus on sleep. There's also the Whoop, there's the Garmin, there's the Apple Watches, there's a lot of other ones. Just watch the EMF on these devices.
What's EMF?
Electromagnetic frequency, which can set off destruction in your cells, and so that's why we'll talk on the PEMF mat later. But we really want to have a good balance of energy within our cells. So that can disrupt that frequency. So just if you're curious and you really want to know, buy a little EMF reader on Amazon. Like $20.
You're saying take the watch off when you go to bed?
If your watch gives it off. I just don't know. I don't use those devices. So
you got to research if my watch gives that off. I'm very curious because I'm like, right now, I was telling her the other day, it hasn't even been tracking my sleep for the past 2 months. I'm getting so frustrated. Like I wanted to know, it would give me like a sleep score and tell me how much REM and deep and light I had. And I was definitely getting light or deep and REM. I was getting plenty of it.
Good.
But it just stopped tracking and I don't know why, but if it doesn't track, I should just take it off.
Yeah, just watch it next to your head.
Oh.
Like a lot of people will put their arms next to their head, right?
Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, the Oura ring, I have done EMF on it and it does not give off any EMF, which is great. Another good tracking device that I also have, and I don't use this one for tracking, my husband does, but it's the 8 Sleep mattress. If you are a woman that has like hot flashes at night, or even men, I think we have more muscle usually than women. They get hot at night,
Yeah, my husband, I call him, he's like a furnace.
Yeah, so you really remember the body temp thing?
I call him a hot box.
Yeah, so hot, sweaty, going to disrupt sleep. So the 8 Sleep mattress is
he
really
wants
cool.
to cuddle, and I'm like, oh,
sweating on me. Yeah.
He's just so hot.
Get off. Yeah, You're heating me up.
He's like, it would keep you surviving in the wilderness. And I'm like, it
You
would,
but I'm not in the wilderness. So it's like 70 degrees in here. So the 8 Sleep mattress though is a cooling and it heats and cools. It's a mattress topper and it regulates your body temp.
Is he's not hot. He's comfortable, but he's like radiating heat. Isn't that weird? I wonder why.
More muscle.
My little
it's muscle, girl.
Yeah, but my little boys are like that. Like
My little boys are too.
Sal's a little hot box. You know, when I'll snuggle with him, I'm like, dude, you are hot.
Yeah. Do they say that about you?
No, they don't say I'm hot. Normally I'm putting my toes in between their legs and trying to defrost my toes in their legs.
But yeah, so like we talked about earlier, like other good sleep tracking devices, if oxygen is an issue, sleep apnea is an issue, you're slobbering on your pillow, you're waking up.
Or passing out, maybe.
Yeah, passing out, choking yourself.
That was my father-in-law. Literally, he sleeps with a mask now. He sleeps like a champ.
I'm so glad that he does.
His snoring was so bad, you guys. Like, he came to my house and I recorded it and I played it for him. I'm like,
you don't even know.
You are like sawing logs at night. This is horrible. How are you not waking up? Like, how are you sleeping with him, Carol? And then like, you know, occasionally Jay might snore. He doesn't normally snore. Like I would not tolerate that. But like if he does for one reason one night, I'm like, how are you not waking up? It's so loud.
Yeah. You know, what's crazy is people who don't have or don't sleep with their partners, they might not even know that they do it. So if you are single, like get a camera one night and video yourself just to find out, right? But the WellU oxygen ring also is great. So
that just tells you if you're snoring.
That'll tell you if you're deoxygenating.
I noticed
specifically.
Jason used to snore more when we first started like dating in our early relationship. And he was a lot heavier than he is now. And he is a back sleeper. And he would just snore. And now he's lost 20 pounds. He doesn't snore anymore.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the fat around the neck, you know?
Just the thickness.
Like the thickness, the weight, to close off that trachea. But laying on your side is another good option. Back sleeping will close it off a little bit more. And then just the sleep tape was such a big thing, right? Everybody's tape your mouth. But if you have like chronic obstructive sleep apnea and your trachea is closing off in the middle of the night, you're not getting oxygen, be careful of that, right? But if you just want to, you don't have like chronic obstructive sleep apnea, that's the CPAP. That would be very helpful. Sometimes there's like mouth devices that'll open up the trachea by moving the jaw. But the sleep tape is good for like people like you or me who just want to like optimize a little bit more. And it would just help your diaphragm work better. You have to nose breathe. There's a great book by James Nestor called Breath.
It's awesome.
And he talks big on that. But that nitric oxide that you get whenever you inhale in through your nose, it vasodilates your arteries and then it helps keep your heart rate low without waking up. So it keeps you in that really calm, relaxed sleep state. Yeah.
Something I noticed, so I used to grind my teeth, had a night guard, helped, but I just got this Invisalign.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this small, like little addition on the top, an Invisalign, to where I can't close my teeth all the way. And what's happened is it's helped me at night sleep. I'm sleeping better since I've been wearing these Invisalign because I'm not grinding my teeth and clenching anymore.
Did they build that in to prevent grinding?
To prevent clenching.
Oh my gosh. Like I wish I would have known about that. I had Invisalign, but I did not know.
They don't close any more than this. I can't do the overbite anymore. So
That's great.
The back teeth aren't touching anymore.
That's good to know because I got Invisalign, but my doctor never told me that was an option. So it's good to know for people who get Invisalign. If you're a teeth grinder, get that extra little piece on there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I joke that I think it's why I have a little bit of a lisp right now, but I'm just tolerating it.
Yeah, that might be why. Yeah. Hey, you're way more compliant with those things than I was. Let's just be honest.
Okay, before we tap off here, why don't you leave the listeners with like 2 or 3 sleep hygiene habits that they can try, just like tonight when they go home. Now remember, guys, you can't change everything overnight.
That's right.
You can do some nights, one's other nights, but just having more good sleep habits is so important. What are 2 or 3 of your favorite sleep hygiene habits?
So I would say I'm going to go through all of them, and I'm going to give you my top ones, that I really like. I got these actually from Brian Johnson. He's the biggest biohacker on the planet right now. Literally, like he's a science project, but
this is the guy that's supposed to be like, he's 18, but he's really 45.
Yeah.
That guy?
He's reversed his biological age
a
lot. He looks amazing. But He's dedicated a lot of money and time to that. So consistent schedule is really, really important. So watch that, on the weekends, you're not going out and partying until 1 a.m., but during the weekdays, you're going to bed at 9. So trying to be consistent with the time that you go to bed and the time that you wake up. Avoid that late night exercise or working too close to bedtime. That was what got me, was the working too close to bedtime. And a lot of my patients, they work out too late at night. And I'm like, well, no wonder you can't sleep. They go on like a nightly walk.
I never work out at night. And the other day I went to the gym at just 5 o'clock. I pumped iron. I came home. I didn't go to bed till 2 a.m. I don't know if it was just a shock for my body.
Yeah.
This was last week. I remember I was telling you this, Maddie. I said, I just came home. I felt great. I was probably surged on adrenaline. I don't know. And I stayed up. I was like, I am not even tired.
Yeah.
It was weird.
The cold plungers out there, don't be cold plunging at nighttime. Cold plunge in the morning.
Do it in the morning.
At lunchtime, so you get yourself enough time to calm back down, because it's a controlled stress exercise, but it still is a stressor.
What about if you don't have time and you want to work out at the end of the day and you try to bring yourself down?
More of a calming workout I'd recommend versus like a HIIT workout or a heavy lifting, maybe a walk, maybe yoga flow, maybe Pilates, and choose that if you have to work out at night. But yeah, really trying to reconfigure those habits throughout the day.
Especially if you're struggling with sleep, guys.
Yeah. And then light is huge, get your eyes on the sunlight in the morning. Like a good practice I'll do is cold plunge. Whenever the cold plunge was in my garage, I'd cold plunge, and then I'd walk out, put my feet on the earth, on Mother Earth in the grass, and look at the sun and do some heart space opening exercises. It just really, really helps to set out your cortisol. Literally, you look at the sun, your cortisol releases. And then that cold plunge or shower in the morning is great. But dim those lights 1 hour before bed, or wear the blue light blocking glasses. If you're still working on your phone or your computer, change your iPhone to night mode. You can also use red near infrared light, which we'll speak on in the biohacking section, before bed, because that'll increase melatonin. And then darken the room completely dark. No lamps on. Like my one son, he wants to have a lamp on. And I'm like, no, you're not going to sleep. And he struggles sleeping more than my other son, who'll hit the pillow and go right to bed. Stop caffeine if you can 6 hours before bed. Some people are like, oh yeah, caffeine doesn't affect me. I'm like, yeah, let me put an Oura ring on you and see if it doesn't. You know what I mean? No alcohol past 6 p.m. Even if you only drink one drink.
Guys, this sounds no fun.
No fun. If you do maybe you do this 3 days a week to start, and then you build yourself up to just the weekdays. And on the weekends, you still can have a little fun.
Yeah. I mean, even just making small changes, you're going to notice. I also started making like a magnesium drink at night with maybe juice. It really calm me, bring me down. Yeah. With the magnesium in it, melatonin just kind of brings you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a little nightcap.
I
don't like drinking that all the time though. And then just for me, the biggest ones are not having the cell phone and the blue lights on.
Yeah.
Has been a game changer for me. I keep my bedroom pretty cold,
68
dark,
degrees.
Cold and dark.
You really want that lower body or that lower temperature in your room, or an 8-sleep mattress, And then fixing your wake up time. That was the thing that got me.
Same time.
Is the wake up time. If your biological clock needs to sleep till 8 a.m., you got to change the way you do life, Oof. I was taking my first patient at 7 a.m. before. Now I take my first patient a little later. So maybe you have to change how you're working, instead of going in super duper early, because you might miss out on 2 hours of REM sleep, and then you might have cognitive decline and dementia later in life.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy to think about it. But
it's just these long-term things. But the biggest thing is that lower heart rate for that optimal deep sleep. Because if you have a high heart rate, drink a couple glasses of wine or some alcohol and see what happens. My HRV tanks. My heart rate is spiked for 3 hours, and then I'm not going into deep sleep. So it's you need to relax and restore today, was what my Oura ring says. But yeah, and then food, right? We're going to try to eat 3 to 4 hours before bedtime, and no heavy meals, super, super late. Watch that stress before bed. So we really want to have our body focused on just repairing and restoring, so that you can drop in. As soon as your head hits the pillow, you should go boom, right into deep sleep. How are you going to go right into deep sleep? Lower heart rate, lower body temp.
Wow. Hit the pillow down. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's just cool. How, at first I got all these, I read Superhuman by Dave Asprey, the book. And I spent, Jillian, about $10,000-$15,000. My husband was just not happy with all the things he told me to do to become superhuman. You know, I was going to outwit feeling good. And I actually made myself worse. So I wasted another year of being exhausted by thinking I needed to do more. But what really happened was like,
that's when you bought your infrared, right?
That's when I put a
big
infrared sauna.
Yeah, a big
in my
hunk
house.
of that investment was she bought this really nice infrared sauna that I will go over and use sometimes.
But at the same time, it became like a great place for me to go to wind down, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then like these last 3 years, it's just been like these little hacks that just start to build upon each other. And then now they literally are my new lifestyle. So like and I put them in the house, you know, so
They're right there.
I can make sure I'm doing things consistently.
Yeah.
But it's like, once again, going back to what is the biggest thing that you need to work on first and going after that guy, and then slowly tapping into the other ones so that you don't feel overwhelmed. You know?
That's great advice. Well, thank you for being here and sharing
thanks
all
for
this.
having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, this podcast is sponsored by Fit Flavors. We are a local brand here in St. Louis, and we make and prepare fresh meals for health-conscious, busy people with 6 local locations, or you can order online. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.